Hello, everyone. This is A Bit of Business. My name is John FitzGerald on behalf of LearMedia.tv and the British and Irish Trading Alliance. Welcome to the show. Our show today is a special edition in advance of World Cleanup Day, coming up shortly on September 18. And this is a great opportunity for all of us to exhibit a little bit of civic pride and clean up our neighborhoods, our beaches, our waterways, our towns, and our cities. Our special guests today are Paul Whitnell and Danny Lucas. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
By way of introduction, Paul is the president, founder, and driving force behind BITA, which he set up 10 years ago. After much hard work, Paul now has 12 core BITA chapters across Ireland and the UK, with over 500 member companies covering about 12,000 people, in addition to the BITA Global Forum, made up of folks across the world as BITA prepares to go international. Danny is the executive chairman and managing director of Lucas, which he joined when he was just 15 years of age. Lucas is a fit out and finishing specialist that has a reputation for excellent delivery, and they have worked on many well-known projects, including Terminal 5 at Heathrow, the Shard, the Tate Modern Extension, and the McLaren Technology Centre. Danny is also the founder of the Littergram and Adopted Zone initiatives, which we will talk about shortly. So let's start with you, Paul, as World Cleanup Day fast approaches. You set up the BITA Global Forum about a year ago to expand the reach, membership, and influence of BITA across the globe, and also to drive awareness around the amount of plastic pollution used and seen in the construction industry. Why did you do that? And tell us what progress has been made since you set up the Global Forum.
Well, there's a posted up here on my wall, and it reads, "We cannot recycle our way out of this. Stopping use is the only way we will save our environment, and we haven't got long." And I keep reminding myself and reading that. And it's the end bit that is more poignant, really. We haven't got long. If we don't react and do something about this, we're in big trouble. And it's the next generation will suffer mostly. So I suppose why I set it up was because we've managed to have a great gathering of like-minded people in BITA as we created a community, and as a collective, we are stronger. So the next thing when you do something like that is to actually formulate the message so the collective can come together and fully understand what the mission goals are based on the values of the organization. And that's what BITA, and some people might think that, this is a very tedious thing to do, and it's, is it important? But everything has to start from somewhere. And when you do it properly, and I'm in the company of a great man who, he's the epitome of properly. So the setup of his company, setup of his group, himself as a man, his values, it's unbelievable. And when you see that in action, and you see an organization structured and the process is good and the foundations are there, you can get things done in a proper way. So the meaning of setting up the Global Forum was to pass on some good communications of better practice. And one of the areas that we decided to tackle was the plastic pollution, but also litter in general, because we all agreed that we are actually living among a trash can. And what we've done is we've changed our culture to accept that, which is unacceptable. And what we have to do as adults and people is change that culture and go back to the values of where we were reared in terms of respect and understanding that these things are damaging. And we're not here to damage the future of other generations. We're here to pass on our integrity, our honesty, our passion. And that's basically the values of BITA. So this all marries up in terms of my vision in creating an organization that represents better practice.
Danny, let me come to you for a second and give you a few statistics. And this comes from Changing Streams, which is also actively involved in the BITA community. 23% of plastic produced in the UK is consumed by the construction industry. 50,000 tons of plastic packaging is generated by UK construction each year. 3 times more packaging waste is produced by construction than all UK households combined. Do you think leadership in the construction industry is starting to take note of this, especially when sustainability and ESG credentials are becoming much more relevant in business?
Yeah, well, John, what we've seen is that ESG's really sort of come in and given us all a kick up the backside, really. And we're now seeing all of the large organisations that we work with, the material manufacturers through to the #1 principal contractors, literally take it so seriously now at a level that we've not seen before. I think that audit trail that the clients want to see all the way down to the very end users like ourselves and the operatives on site is so transparent now that you can't just tick the box anymore to sustainability and say we're doing this and put a mission statement up on the wall. You've actually got to tangibly prove through KPIs, through audit, that this stuff's happening. And we're seeing leadership happening now in some fantastic businesses that we work with that is allowing us to make a difference, because it is a joint effort. On our own, we won't do it, but collectively we can, as Paul said. And there's a fantastic film that I was told about through one of our clients recently called Breaking Boundaries, which is on Netflix. I'd urge everybody to go and watch it. It's hugely educational. It's about an hour long. David Attenborough's in it, but they've identified all of the areas that we need to home in on as a globe to bring things back to a level where we've got a sustainable planet. And this is being taken seriously now at a level that I've not seen before. So I think that, you know, we've got a decade to go is the sort of buzzword, really. We've got a decade to go to start turning this before it gets to a tipping point. And, you know, yeah, I'm seeing this happening from the top with some very significant organisations now. And I think we're about to see a big change over the next few years.
Danny, Paul mentioned that you've built a very impressive organization with a wonderful brand and a great reputation for excellence in delivery. And it seems to run through the whole fiber of your organization. So you as a leader, how do you get this message across, the ESG message, the sustainability message to your folks and drive it through the organization? And how have you done it? And what are you most proud of at Lucas?
Well, I think we've been very active in the area of sort of caring for the community and giving back, social, the inclusion side, the CSR side, working with organisations like the British Lung Foundation. And we've incentivised our teams to do things on their own that can individually support those causes so that it becomes a purpose that they have when they want to do something, whether it doesn't matter what it is. If they want to go for a 10K run on a Sunday, please ensure that you think about the causes that Lucas is supporting and you might be able to make a difference. So that's number one. Number two is the doing side of it, which is very much what Lucas is about. We're a doing company, which, you know, I hear a lot of talk in various parts of, unfortunately, I'm going to be a bit derogatory here and say that I've seen this around the sort of government departments that I've dealt with, where they do talk about doing stuff, but you don't actually see it physically happening. And I'm very much a doer. And what I've done is I've empowered my people to get involved in stuff that we're doing. So the Adopted Zone, for instance, is the Lucas team coming out and giving their time up on a Sunday. So we have quarterly gatherings. I'm very much sort of on the stage delivering a quarterly message to the team of what we're doing, what we've achieved, where we're going. And internally, we have a Lucas team app, which means that we can daily keep people up to speed with everything that's happening minute by minute almost. And it sort of connects the whole team, where we've got a huge body of people, up to 300 to 500 people now that are connected to the message. It's not something that we just pick up occasionally. It's something that's at the heart of what we do. And I think that that momentum is what's needed. And we're trying to widen that, because you can't scratch the surface here. You've got to have a sustained, consistent thing going on. Otherwise, this isn't going to be dealt with.
Paul, let me come back to you because you have many years of experience in the construction industry. So how has plastic pollution become such a problem for the sector?
I suppose it's being ignored as an agenda is the main problem. And I go back to the culture of how we change as people. I come from a generation where technology changed our culture in lots of ways, and our values changed because of that. We became a throwaway society. We became very greedy, and we were following the pound more than our passions and our heart. And that led to bad practice in business, and we accepted that. We accepted bad practice in business, and we were quite happy to plod along doing that. But then what happens is this is all highlighted, and suddenly then we've got to address this, so the change of culture needs to happen. And the industry ignored what was needing to be addressed. And companies can do things more efficiently if they put their mind to it. So our job now is to communicate those opportunities around efficiencies and help people change the culture gradually, because we understand there's costs involved to companies to be able to do things, and people are time poor as well. So, what we're trying to say is, change that, make time, and you'll see the benefits to actually creating those better practices. There's lots of savings, cost savings within businesses that people are unaware of because they haven't tried these practices. And what we do as an organization is gradually communicate these betterments to our members and to the community in general. And we're hoping that for our part, that we can show a difference. And that's what it's all about. So when we started this, there was something like 10 countries wanting and willing to get involved in this. The Global Forum now has reached out to 48 different countries who will actually get involved in doing their piece. And this is the first time we've done it. There's a great educational piece around this and the awareness around that. And what happens is your awareness turns into practice. So for instance, when I started about, picking up litter as I go for a walk, it's something I do now all the time. And I enjoy the feeling of creating something of a difference. It was, a needle in a haystack in terms of what I was doing, but it did make a difference to me, and it's made a difference to the people around me. And that's what we are promoting here. And if everybody starts, creating that culture and mindset, we'll be in a better place.
Everybody doing their little bit. And you mentioned making time there, Paul, and I think that's a nice segue back to you, Danny, to talk about the Littergram and Adopted Zone initiatives. What are they all about, Danny, and what prompted you to set them up?
Well, Littergram was set up back in 2014 as an app to raise awareness of litter. It wasn't to clear it up, but it was to actually create a heat map for local authorities to see where the problems were and then start to hit those areas. That didn't work. That was a failed project, unfortunately, because I had soon found out that everything's in place to actually do that already, but it isn't done. So it's quite a sad situation, John, but there's three pillars to me. Educate, enforce and maintain are the three pillars. And, when we talked about the ESG thing just now, I think the industry will get the message because ESG is being taken so seriously that it's actually affecting funding, interest rates, etc. So the industry will actually take note of that. And I think ESG will definitely drive through from a sort of industry point of view. But when we look at the public, that's the area that's being neglected at the moment. And there's three pillars for me, as I said: educate, enforce and maintain. All three of those are in place from a sort of law point of view. In Britain, it's been something that's evolved in our statutes over decades. But at each level, they're all broken. Education now you don't see. Maybe once a year you'll see the Great British Clean-up promoted in the newspapers, and that's it. The old Keep Britain Tidy, crisp packets, we used to see the posters, the public information films back in the 70s, they're gone. That isn't done anymore. The enforcement side of it is an area that's very important because people get the message if there's a fine. There is 30% of councils in Britain now only issuing one fine a week. 70% don't fine at all. There is zero prosecutions for fly tipping in most local authorities. They don't have any strategy on that at all. The Environment Agency that are actually duty bound to fine industrial fly tipping only fined one in a year. So the enforcement side is completely shot to pieces. Technology needs to come in there because things like AI, litter cam, these can be issuing at fixed penalty notices. And I'm not being funny. If word gets around that you get £140 fine because you dropped a cigarette butt or threw chewing gum out the window or a cigarette packet, people will start to take note. Then it's maintain. If you don't maintain standards, it's called the broken windows theory. People add to litter. Litter attracts litter. If you maintain a standard, then all of a sudden people start to care. So what Littagram are trying to do is they're trying to educate and they're trying to maintain. The enforcement part, unfortunately, can only come from the authorities themselves, and they really need to start looking at technology because it's out there and they could be bringing a lot of money in to support basically their costs, which they talk a lot about. There's no effort to do that at the moment. But I think it's a three-pronged approach, and we're working with Clean Up Britain, who are very strong on the education side as well. So the adopted zones is all about empowering communities and businesses to take ownership of an area, to involve their teams in actually maintaining that, not just doing it once, but actually maintaining it. It's very motivating and empowering. It brings back a positive feeling to an area, businesses, staff going for lunchtime walks, the local pubs, the shops. All of a sudden, it's a pleasant environment and people really notice it. So and it's not that expensive. I mean, this is something that can be done in-house, and we've proved that. We've got a case study, as you'll see on the adoptedzone.com website. We're maintaining it, and it's fantastic. London Road, Ruton now is gleaming, and it's a beautiful place to be. So, you know, it's educational, it's about maintaining, and as I say, we need that enforcement side to come up. Littagram as an app will still be there, and that is to empower people to bin it to win it. I mean, we're in a selfish society, as Paul mentioned. You know, it's that throwaway mentality. We've got used to not really caring about anything other than the pound and ourselves. And bin it to win it is giving people back something so that it addresses, if you like, what's in it for me, but it's in allowing people to actually be rewarded for cleanups. So it's a corporate and individual strategy. It's got a potential to be a sustained overlay system across the whole of the UK. And with Clean Up Britain, who are very good on the campaigning side, they're looking to raise fines to £1,000 for littering. They're $10,000 in some states in America. They're looking to make it standard that it's £1,000 in the UK. There's a huge petition with over 100,000 signatures now on that. And companies that have got AI technology working for local authorities, it's like a no-win, no-fee, but they would be netting millions. Look at the slip roads. You could fill a skip up every 10 feet. It's crazy. It's knee deep and it's been there for decades. We need to, this is like landfill, visible landfill. This is not good. You know, plastic, we know, causes a lot of harm to the environment. Off-gassing now is something that's being spoken about. This is, you know, there are dangerous chemicals coming off of plastics, turning into microplastics, of course. So, you know, that's really what this is about, John. This is, you know, this is a big thing that I've put a lot of effort into. It's taken 7 years. I've finally had a light bulb moment, and we are going forward with something that has got, to me, on the back of the World Cleanup Day that you're doing, is a legacy program that everybody can get involved with. And I'm hugely passionate about it.
Paul, is this part of the solution, do you think, to the litter and plastic pollution problem, namely businesses and business leaders like Danny taking action in their communities to do something about it?
It's not part of the solution, it is the solution. You know, this is definitive, and this is the difference between a talking shop and a doing shop, you know? So this is where, when we engage with the Global Forum, we are quite happy to begin the whole process of putting people, you know, together to create this education. But this is now taking it a step further. And that's why we're endorsing and supporting Danny's campaign to do and what he's doing. So Littagram is going to be something that we will bring on from the Global Forum point of view all over the world, potentially, but especially in the UK. And we're supporting. So we're going to go out to our members now. And we've agreed with Danny that we're going to approach a lot of our members to support the actions and become part of Littagram. And that's the next steps for us. So it's not all about just creating a day and creating awareness and all that kind of stuff. We've got to continue to work hard at this, and having the fundamentals like this and foundations like this to be able to work with as a platform gives us great hope. And we now have a lot of work to do to bring this message forward.
Danny, are you happy with the response you've got to the Adopted Zone initiative?
Well, from a public point of view, absolutely. John, if I'm honest, from a local authority and council point of view, they're holding their head in shame and not being anywhere to be seen, if I'm really honest with you. It is a broken system. They're not doing anything about it. I'm not here to be political. It's not about intentionally naming and shaming. My plan was to motivate them to actually do this, but we've gone on our own, really. And I think going back to your comment about Lucas and the standards I have, all I've done is adopt the same approach in terms of instilling a military approach, organized, fashion here to do something that is got an impact and is lasting. The same attention to detail that we put into painting Battersea Power Station and all of the organisation that needs has gone into the Litogram Adopted Zone scheme to make it absolutely off the shelf ready. We've made it a format that is scalable, and this can make a huge impact around the whole of Britain and educate people, because, yes, the industry side of it is a problem. We've already identified the construction's impact on that, which I know will change because I'm seeing it with my own eyes. Packaging for paint, for example. If I look at Dulux, who are the biggest paint manufacturer in Britain and one of our huge suppliers, they're looking at completely getting rid of altogether cans and having packaging that's biodegradable, that dispenses paint. I mean, this is groundbreaking innovation that's going on here. So this is happening, but we need to get the message to the 66 million people in the United Kingdom that it isn't acceptable to have this stuff lying around and to continue throwing it out our windows.
So tell us, Danny, how can people get involved then with both Litogram and Adopted Zone?
Well, the Adopted Zone scheme is in a pilot stage at the moment, pre-launch next year, when we will have an official partner working with us that will actually use innovation to do the cleaning. So at the moment, Lucas are doing it themselves with our own team, but there is a much leaner way, working with amazing equipment that can do this in very quick time. So it's all about disruption. It's all about driving change with innovation. So for now, for the next 6 months, what we're looking for is for people to go to the adoptedzone.com website. There's a 5-step plan there that we've put in place with a template that you can use for health and safety. And it absolutely sets out a very clear way of making an impact in your area and taking ownership. It's quite empowering to take ownership of an area and feel that that is your area. And it really makes a statement for your business. So it's adoptedzone.com. It's all there. We've made it absolutely simple, John. We've put all the effort into keeping it very, very obvious what you've got to do. And we really hope that with a bit of support that we will be able to empower and enthuse other members to do the same. Certainly across Kent, where Paul and I are based, we've got the Kent chapter. And I think, we could make a big dent and be the first county in Britain to do this.
Fast forward 3 or 4 years, can you see, what's your vision for the program and how it'll look in 3 or 4 years' time?
Well, as I said, it's a dual program. So it starts initially with the Adopted Zone, but as a dual program, it's Bin It to Win It with the app, and it's the Adopted Zone scheme, and they'll work hand in glove. Corporates will be encouraging their teams to use the Bin It to Win It incentive scheme as well. And I really see a world in 3 or 4 years' time where across Britain, you'll be able to log into an app digitally and see a presence of corporates that have taken ownership of their areas, and a huge feed coming into the social media channel of people that are actually going out on their own with their families, with their children, taking part in the Bin It to Win It scheme and taking absolute pride in the fact that they've transformed Britain overnight, because this is something that can be done very quickly.
A little effort from everybody will make a big difference. Paul, we've got you back again, and a quick question for you. In and around the World Cleanup Day, how can people get involved with some of the BITA activity that is happening?
All you need to do is log on to the global forum on BITA, www.bita.ie, and register your interest in terms of whatever you can do, however small. Any participation is good, solid participation. But I just want to pick up one point in terms of what Danny has created now with Littergan. The World Cleanup Day is going to be an initiative that will continue. It's an annual event, but this is all around education, and this is all around a change of culture. We've now got a great opportunity, and I would ask all BITA members to consider this a strong agenda for them going forward. I mean, we will encourage people to do this because we've got a great chance now. And the amount of work that's been done by Lucas Group and Danny in particular to provide this platform in such an easy format. When he says 5 steps, it is 5 simple steps. And it's so easy to do it, and you will get so much out of it. You know, so this is something that I'm delighted that finally we have the voice of BITA behind us, and the voice of BITA is getting bigger all the time. You know, it's great to see that our part is a communication exercise to create better practice for our members. We can now put that into practice because providing the platform is an easy way to exercise this. And we hope that our members will follow and support this going forward, and we will make a real impact. And in 12 months' time, when we come back on and talk to you about the progress that's happening in this regard, we will be able to show you. And, you know, Danny alluded to the adopted zone that has been adopted in Rootham already. It is magnificent. If you saw the pictures before and the way it looks now, it is absolutely magnificent. And a credit to those people who put the effort and time into doing so. I'm living in Maidstone, outside Maidstone and Bearsted. It is a disgrace at the moment, an utter disgrace. Grass 3 foot high, you know, absolute belligerence, laziness, useless effort from the councils. And we sit around and look outside our front door and let this happen. We accept this. It's madness. So now what we're saying is, with this now, we can adopt our zones and we can actually make it look absolutely wonderful and live in a better, more prosperous environment.
Strong stuff indeed, Paul, and thanks so much for those inspiring words. Gents, thanks for joining us today. I think we'll leave it there. Given your busy schedules, I appreciate you taking the time. Ladies and gentlemen, plenty of opportunity for all of us to get involved in and around and after World Cleanup Day on September 18. So please do sign up to these great initiatives and do your bit. Every little helps. This has been A Bit of Business, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John FitzGerald. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.